So guys, the video that we have selected today is a kind of stupid. It makes no sense, but did we actually land on the moon? Today's video is about the conspiracy theory because there are still people in this world who believe that we never landed on the moon. So why is that, and why do they think that? I mean, I found a video that the guy actually gives proof. So we will watch the video, then you guys can write in the comments that what do you actually think? Did we actually land on the moon? Because right now, as it is, everyone's believed that yes, we did land on the moon, but these guys do have some evidence. So let's check it out and let's check this crazy theory out and let's see what happens. Okay, so I will start the video in 3, 2, 1. Go.
There were 6 alleged moon landings between 1969 and 1972, and there's been 0 moon landings since. Seems a little suspicious, doesn't it? Well, that's because we never went to the moon. Let me prove it to you with 13 reasons why the moon landing was fake. Why would America fake the moon landing? Well, at the time, the US was in the heat of the Cold War with the Soviet Union, and the space race was important because of the fear that the Soviet Union might weaponize space by putting missile launch sites on the moon, leaving the US defenseless. Now, the US had already been beaten by the Soviet Union in putting the first person into space. They asserted their dominance over us like the dog whisperer putting a hostile rescue dog from Tijuana in its place. But if we could be the first to the moon, then we'd be the new alpha dog in the world. But in this case, what creates the alpha dog isn't the size of the fight in the dog. It's the size of the lie in the dog that's in the fight. Thus, the US became the new alpha dog when we were the first nation to fake the moon landing.
Okay, so what he's saying is basically that, and it makes sense, that America and Russia at that time were going to see who will reach the moon first. So he's saying that America didn't even waste any money in just sending a person to the moon. What he's saying is they just faked the moon landing and just told the world that yes, we have reached the moon, we have landed on the moon, and Neil Armstrong actually landed on the moon. So they just won the race, basically. So that's the reason he said that's why they cheated and they didn't go to the moon. The reason too?
The US government also faked the moon landing to distract the public from the Vietnam War, which wasn't very popular. It's like if I'm doing something you disapprove of and I can distract you from it, then you don't notice your disapproval of the thing I'm still doing. Look over there, a moon landing.
Just like a magician will distract you, like he's doing something over there and he's saying all the magic is happening over here, but actually the magic is happening somewhere else. Distraction, it really works. Okay, reason 3.
Now let's look at some hard evidence. The flag waving in the wind. Now take a look at the astronauts proudly planting the American flag on the moon as it gracefully waves in the wind. There's just one problem with this. There's no wind on the moon, Einstein. Evidence of a hoax.
So if you see the video, the flag is waving, but it shouldn't wave, it should be dropped down because there is no wind, and it should be down like this. And yeah, I mean, looking at the thing, I mean, he does make sense, because if there's no wind in space, how is that flag waving?
No dust kicked up on the lunar landing. Take a close look at the lunar module. You'll see there's no dust on the foot pads. This would be approximately like diving into a swimming pool in your car and not making a splash.
Okay, so what he's saying that if that big ship is descending on the moon, the moment it lands, dust would have come out of it from the ground.
God, I love this place.
And because the dust comes out, there should be some dust on top of that thing. I mean, but there is no dust. I mean, if you can see the picture really clearly, that place is spotless. You can't see even a single fragment of dust. So yeah, that's also a sign. I mean, it looks like it.
And it didn't leave a blast crater either. Guess what? The moon's surface is covered in dust. It's not like landing in a Walmart parking lot covered in pavement, so it would be impossible to land on the moon's surface without kicking up a dust storm.
I mean, no blast crater, because see, when that chip comes down, it doesn't just come down. Okay, it comes slowly. There is a rocket in the center underneath, right over there. Okay, and what happens is it slows down the descent, and then it brings it down slowly. The engine doesn't turn off, because if the engine turns off, it'll just crash. So they turn on the engine and slowly descend it down. Okay, so it comes down like this, so there should be a blast crater down there. I mean, the area should be blackened or something.
No stars in any photos. There are no stars in any photos taken from the moon. Now, were the stars just blotched out by the intense inner city streetlights that are on the moon? Or are there just no stars visible from the pretend moon inside of a Hollywood soundstage? I don't know. I'm just asking questions here.
Okay, so he's saying that, and yeah, I have noticed that. I mean, if you see the moon landing pictures, not the pictures you see online nowadays, but the actual pictures of moon landing, or the real footage of the moon landing that the people actually shot, there actually are no stars visible. I mean, just look up there at night and you'll see a lot of stars. But why weren't there no stars over there? That was a good point. Okay, reason 7.
Pictures have the same background. Look at these two photos. Two different locations on the moon, but each have the exact same background. Looks like the set designers got a little lazy.
There's a point. I mean, if you see the mountains in the back, they are exactly the same. A little bit difference over there, over these areas, but they're basically the same. Okay, there are 2 separate landings, and the background is the same, but the front is changed.
The crosshairs. Crosshairs were etched into the lens of the camera the astronauts were using, yet in a number of photos, an object allegedly on the moon appears in front of the crosshairs. This is foul play.
Okay.
The only way an object could appear in front of the crosshairs is if the object were superimposed on the photo. Fake photos trying to fake a real moon landing.
So what he's saying, these plus signs were on the camera. So if I take a picture with that camera, that plus sign will be on top of an image. I mean, it makes sense, right? But look at these pictures. That plus is actually behind that flag. So he's saying the only way that is possible is that you take the video and then you put the flag on top of it. I mean, it makes sense.
Competing shadows. There's one source of light on the moon. It's called the sun.
Okay,
Yet some photos have shadows going at 2 different angles, suggesting multiple light sources, which suggests studio lighting.
That makes sense. That makes complete sense. Okay, if I go back here, you can just check on the back.
Just like this picture is on top of my face. That's the same reason, because it was put after I made the video.
I don't know if you can see it, but I have kind of 2 shadows over there. It's because I'm using 2 lights. One is there and one is there. But if you go to space, the only light source you have is the sun. Just one light source. So all your shadows should be in one direction. But it means that there were 2 lights over there, which is not possible, because either we have 2 suns, or that photo was taken in a studio. Makes complete sense.
So NASA, we haven't been back to the moon for nearly 50 years. Why is that? And NASA's like, in the past 50 years, technology's actually gotten worse. Yeah, the experts say human knowledge is doubling every 13 months. And yeah, your smartphone has more computing power than all of NASA's computers combined in 1969. But aside from all that, technology is actually getting worse, making it impossible to go back to the moon. Yeah. So that's pretty much our airtight reason for why we haven't been back to the moon for 50 years. And all follow-up questions will be answered with the term budget cuts. You know what, NASA? I don't buy into your Cold War winning, deceiving the American people propaganda. Moon landing? Fake.
Okay, so his last reason is, and that one also makes, it will make you think that it's been like 50 years that we haven't been to the moon. So of course you will ask why. Between 1969 and 72, in those 4 years we went to the moon 6 times. But since then it's been 50 years and no one went to the moon. India was trying to reach the moon in last year, I think, in 2019, and their spaceship actually couldn't reach the moon. When it was about to land, something happened and it got destroyed. I think I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I'm pretty sure it kind of destroyed. They could say that, see, even they couldn't reach the moon because America did something to their spaceship and it destroyed before it could reach the moon. So yeah, there's another thing. So this guy gave some really good reasons, some really bad reasons as well. But the reason that he gave, like for example, the flag waving without any air, what do you call that? The no dust, no crater, the shadows. The main thing that I think the three most important things are the flag waving without the air, the different light source shadows. There were shadows going in different directions. That was, and the last thing that I think is problematic is that there are no stars in the picture. Okay guys, so the question is, did moon landing happen? Now, I'll leave the question to you guys. What do you think? Watching the video, write in the comments. What do you think? Did the moon landing actually happen or not? If you think it happened, then try to answer the questions that were there, that guy just put forward. Or if you think the moon landing didn't happen, depending on what you heard, then write in the comments, what do you think? Why do you think we never landed on the moon? Do you believe this guy what he's saying, or do you think he's lying? So with that guys, do write your answers down there. And of course ask questions and see what happens. Okay, so 2 dudes and a nerd out.